returning home after a day's work on the last train. It didn't happen that long ago. There were 2 or maybe 3 people in the carriage. The ride to my stop was about an hour, so I was sitting by the window, leaning against the wall, trying to distract myself from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Before I knew it, my thoughts were replaced by sleep, and I was dozing off. About 10 minutes later, I was awakened by someone screaming uncontrollably in the carriage. A man burst into the train, just before the doors closed, and began shouting loudly. He was chasing me. He was chasing me. I made it. I made it. When I opened my eyes, I saw the crazy guy looking out the window at the platform with wild eyes, muttering something to himself. The train began to pick up speed. What a jerk. He woke me up, I cursed, and then looked out the window with sleepy eyes and saw a black silhouette that made me feel scared. I rubbed my eyes to look at the platform again, but there was no one there. I must have imagined it. The crazy little man walked to the middle of the carriage and lay down on the seats. He continued to mutter something incomprehensible to himself. I, sleep-deprived and disturbed by the incident, gave him an angry look, and then turned to the window and looked out, watching the lights go by. The train started going through the woods. It was already dark outside, so only the outlines of the trees were visible. Suddenly I noticed 2 strange red lights that seemed to accompany our carriage. What were they? Where had these lights come from? Could it be the way the light was refracted? It was strange. We were rushing along at breakneck speed, and these lights followed the train, keeping up with us. As we drove through the village, I couldn't believe what I saw when those strange lights were in the light of the night lights. They weren't lights. They were eyes, the eyes of the black silhouette I had seen on the platform. A shadow was chasing our train. The station was only a few minutes away. What was to be done? What would happen when the train stopped? Was this guy really running away from that creature with the glowing eyes? No, it couldn't be. I was imagining things. Suddenly the train braked sharply, as if someone had pulled the stopcock, and immediately the lights went out in the entire carriage. I froze, feeling that something was wrong. "He's here," shouted the madman. "Stay calm. It must be a technical malfunction," said the guard, who entered our carriage. I looked out the window and saw 2 blood-red lights again. They were moving towards the door. Then I heard a noise. Obviously, he was trying to break in. When I looked toward the vestibule, I saw a silhouette slowly entering the wagon. The creature seemed to vibrate, making a strange buzzing sound. It was as if a black hologram had appeared before us. It walked slowly through the carriage, examining each passenger, and when it reached me, it stopped and looked directly into my eyes. It seemed to be looking into my soul, and a chill ran through my body. Fear gripped me to the point where I was afraid to move. My heart was pounding, my breath was catching with excitement, and I couldn't take a breath. I couldn't breathe. The piercing stare lasted for what seemed like an eternity. Then the shadow turned and walked toward the middle of the wagon, and I let go and inhaled greedily. A guard stood in the creature's way, convulsively shaking with fear. And then the metallic ringing of the shadow's voice reached my ears. "Stand aside." The WD employee took a clumsy step to the side and collapsed on the seat, then slowly crawled to the floor. And now, the creature was already standing in front of the unfortunate man, whom it perceived to be insane. The shadow grabbed him by the throat and lifted him up. The boy tried to say something, but could not. It could see the life leaving the man's body. Then the monster looked around the carriage, after which there was a noise, accompanied by the wind, as if a sports car had rushed past at breakneck speed. The creature and its victim vanished. The train immediately started up, and we drove on, inexplicably afraid, incomprehensibly surprised, and powerless to do anything. Did this shadow teleport, or did it run away with great speed, taking its victim with it? What was it and what became of that guy? I don't know. Now I'm afraid to ride the trains at night. Sometimes, when I come home from work, I see these glowing dark red lights.